people, welcome to the creative process. This is Raul Rugamba. I'm the founder of African Colors. Creative process is a space we have created for creatives, for amazing people out there wanting to learn how ideas are born. We believe creativity ideas have a certain pattern that we can follow and learn from the people that create those ideas and be ourselves creatives, or just come up with ideas and be just idea makers. Meet us every Monday from 9 a.m. and don't forget to follow us on all our social medias. We are Africa in Colors.
Hello. This is a creative process in African Colors. Today we have a guest, and we would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers. Yeah.
Great, thanks for having me. So my name is Mark Tabron. I'm based in South Africa, and I'm very happy to be here at Africa Colors, exploring connections. I'm actually in Rwanda and Kigali because I was here for a big conference last week called AfriLabs, which is the Pan-African network of co-working spaces. It's actually a client of mine that I've been helping host and facilitate their annual gatherings. However, this year I came more as a participant, and it's great to be here.
Oh, that's fine. Well, welcome in the African Colors studio.
Thank you.
So what do you do daily basis that leads to creative?
Sure. So my connection to creativity is that I'm a facilitator and a trainer in what we call deliberate creativity. So when I met the founder of this place, Raul, I found that we had an instant connection to exploring what is creativity as a thinking process. How does it work? Where does it come from? And my career, which is spanning 30 years now, almost, next year's 30 years, has been very much designed, or inspired, should I say, by what we call the deliberate creativity process, which is the Osborne-Parnes model of deliberate creativity. And I fell into this conference that they founded many years ago in 1998. It's in America. It's called the Creative Problem Solving Institute. So I'm a fellow of this kind of family of deliberate creativity thinkers. And obviously I'm also an artist, but I like to make that distinction, as you will with a space like this, around creativity as an art form, whether it be music, painting, sculpting, dance, drama, whatever, but then creativity as a thinking process, which I think globally more so today is put into innovation, right? How are we more innovative? And I find that depending on who you're with, the language that we use in those two spaces, creativity and innovation, they interlock with each other in interesting and different ways.
Yeah.
And so I'm really spent the last few decades looking at how do we capacitate people to unlock possibility, and what tools do we use to enable them to do that.
Speaking of the which, what do you think about the creativity?
What do I think about creativity?
Yeah.
I think it's part of evolution. I think that the fact that we're sat here in a beautiful studio with all of this tech tools around us, this is, we wouldn't have this if we weren't able to think in new and different ways with that which we have. So to me, the creative process is central to our ability to evolve. And if we don't evolve, then we die.
Oh, that's nice. So talking about what you do, what do you think about what can you tell us about the creative process, and how do you process it?
So I know that's one of the key questions that you love to ask here at African Colors. And so if we talk about the creative process itself, like I said, I've been really blessed, if you like, to have fallen into this family of what they call deliberate creativity practitioners, or the original brainstormers. We all know the word brainstorming, but do we know where it came from? And I was really lucky to meet one of the founders of the brainstorming movement.
Tell us more about it.
His name is Sid Parnes, and he's late now, but when I met him he was about 85 years old, and he partnered with Alex Osborne, who wrote the book Applied Imagination in the 40s. So these two guys literally decided, hey, how do you get people to be more creative? How do you do that? And they started to study the actual creative process, and they they kind of streamlined it down to a 4-stage, which later became a 6-stage process of what you do when you are creative. And inside that 6-stage process, they brought about a certain language and a kind of structure, if you like, that enables people to follow that process again and again and again. And it's actually an iterative, circular process. You don't have to always start at the beginning of stage 1, but when you so you can jump into the process in almost any part, depending on where you are on your own creative cycle. But if you start from the beginning, it's about learning that there is a certain way to use what I call the language of possibility to unlock possibilities in the room or in the organization or in the community. So it's really a process that's led by generative language, and it's the generative language that unlocks or invites people to explore certain aspects of the creative process. I'll give you an example.
Yeah, for sure.
When you brainstorm, what do you think the first thing you need to do is? Scratch your chin, scratch your head. What do you think you need to do? If you're brainstorming, what do you think you need to do? Where would you begin if you were to have a brainstorm?
So like most of the time when you are doing like a brainstorming, you have an idea and you start looking for different angles that you can get that idea to be implemented.
Exactly. Yeah, so we need to look at different angles. I love what you just said. And then we're looking for different angles. How many angles do we need to look for?
Depends. There are more. So many.
So we probably do well to explore as many angles as possible, wouldn't we? So in that process, they came up with guidelines that support ideas like this part, which is if you want to find a good idea, find as many as you can first. So the first guideline to the brainstorming process is to be divergent. Divergent is like gestured like this. If we are wanting to go for as many ideas as possible, then maybe there's some guidelines that help us do that. So number 1, seek as many ideas as possible. Don't stop in what they call the first third of thinking, which is, okay, I've got idea number 1, idea number 2, maybe 3, number 4, maybe 5 ideas. But those first 5 ideas, they only take you to the first part of what your brain will normally think are the solutions to your question. So once we get past the 5 ideas, we need to seek even more. So to be able to do that, if I start to come up with some silly ideas or some stupid ideas or some expensive ideas, what do we normally do? Let me ask you the question. If I tell you I've got an idea for the solution, but it's going to cost lots of money, how would you respond to an idea that's going to cost too much money?
Oh, it's always very hard.
Yeah, you think it's tough, it's hard. Maybe you're going to start judging it as that's not such a good idea because we probably don't have the money. But when you do that, that means you're judging my idea. And it might clamp my creativity, stop and slow my creativity. So ground rule number 2 is defer judgment. Don't judge the idea too quickly, because if you judge it too quickly, you're going to slow down on my creative process. So if number 1 is seek as many ideas as possible, number 2 is to defer judgment, then by creating a safe space for the flow of ideas, you get to come up with more. So the trick is, when you defer judgment, is that you don't want to just say, I won't judge the idea negatively, but you should also avoid judging the idea positively. Why? Because if I fall in love with that idea too quickly, I don't come to all of the other ideas. So it's a real instant for a thinker or for a person hosting a brainstorm. If you can help your participants defer judgment and come up with as many ideas as possible, you're helping them diverge. And that will help us come up with more ideas. If we believe that if you want a good idea, we need to come up with many, then these 2 ground rules will really help us.
Oh, that's nice.
Shall I carry on and tell you the third idea?
Yes. Come on.
So the third idea is, or ground rule, if we say we want to come up with many ideas, then we defer. The next one is about building and combining on ideas. So I might tell you an idea to improve a structure or a system or a product, and my idea might be half-baked. It's kind of thought out, but not too well. But you might also have another idea about how your cousin would want this product to be. So maybe when you add your thinking to my thinking, we build and combine and we create new thinking. So that's just how we work when we collaborate, right? That's why we want to create spaces like African Colors where you bring in different thinkers to add ideas to each other. So the third guideline is to build and combine our ideas. And then the fourth one, what happens if we get to 20 ideas and we're slowing down? But the idea is still not the one we're looking for. So then we need to stretch our thinking even further. And how do we do that? By seeking the wild and the wacky. Right? To seek something wild. So all of a sudden I'm going to go, yeah, but what if we ask, I don't know, Nelson Mandela to figure out how he would do it? Or maybe we're going to think about Queen of Sheba. How would she have done it? You know, like thinking crazy ideas means that we have to stretch our ideas and our thinking in different directions to see how far the creative concept might still find value. So that would be the fourth idea. So number one, we said we want to seek wild and wacky, as many ideas as possible. Number two, we want to defer. Number three, we want to build and combine. Number four, we want to seek the wild and the wacky. Number five, write them all down. Because all of these ideas are valuable. And if you don't write them down, you're losing the power of your creative process. Because if you can write them down, and if you're like me, many people love to work visually. Do you like to see what you're creating? Yeah, so writing them down, scribbling them down, using the Post-it, writing it on a laptop, whatever you want to do, on a wall with a piece of chalk, you must capture all of the ideas. So all of those ground rules help us with what we call the divergent part of the process. But then there's the other part of the process. Can you guess what it is? What do you do when you come up with all of these ideas? Now, Now, let me ask you, what are you going to do now?
If I have a lot of ideas, most of the time, like I will speak generally. Like most of the time, when people have a lot of ideas in mind, they mostly used to pick those ones that seem more possible and more simply to be implemented. So you're very close to the answer that I'm looking for. Okay. Very close. Because you're saying me there. Yeah. Because you're saying we need to now choose one or two ideas. Yeah. The challenge is, though, sometimes we always choose the easy idea. Yes. Choosing the easy idea is not necessarily the best idea. So we have to then repeat the process until we improve the idea. But you're right. If we have this many ideas, now we need to bring it down to something that we can say is useful, applicable, applicable, valuable. How are we going to do that? So when we come from this, and I invite you to stretch your arms up right now in front of me like this, this is going to feel wide. Yeah. It's going to feel expansive. But when we do this, what does that enable us to do? Get focused. Yeah. We're bringing the focus to what it is that we're trying to solve. The point of view. That is called convergent thinking. Yeah. So we have divergent thinking and we have convergent thinking. And we have divergent thinking and we have convergent thinking. Yeah. And we have more divergent thinking and we have more convergent. And the reason I repeat that 3 times is actually because we repeat that 4, 5, 6 times. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that the Osborne-Parnes model, and for the audience listening in, if you're fascinated about this, just Google Osborne, 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 Parnes, Parnes, the Osborne-Parnes model of creativity. You just have to Google that. The best thing is that it's all open source, because when Alex Osborne and Sid Parnes brought this method to the world in the 40s and the 50s, they said creativity should change the world. Creativity should be a tool that enables us to move forward and to help each other. So it was free. They didn't put any IP stamp on it and say that's the way we do it, and if you want it you must license. No, it's open source. Yeah. So people that are looking for tools to help your life move forward, your organization move forward, your community, your company, just go and Google these tools and you'll find a whole process that's really there. So I mentioned the 4-stage process that became the 6-stage process. And essentially, in that process, we repeat the diverge and the converge. Yeah. And I'm a percussionist. I've been using rhythm in my work as a consultant for nearly 30 years because it's an engagement tool. We've all got a heartbeat. We're all walking and talking in rhythm, which means it's a unifying force, right? So if you're able to create spaces where you can find that which unifies us, like music, rhythm, the arts, or any similar interest that community can have,
how do we then use that to be not only the unifying force, but the fuel in the tank to move forward? Once you've got the fuel in the tank, can be inspiration, can be energy, can be purpose, can be shared vision, can be this desire to move in a similar direction together. Once you've got that as a facilitator or a trainer or a teacher, then you've got magic in your hands that can make anything happen. So a tool like this process, where we look at the diverge and the converge, which we repeat 4 or 6 times, I call it the rhythm of possibility, or the rhythm of creativity, sorry.
Yeah.
We have the language of possibility, which I'll talk about in a moment, which underpins how we unlock the possibility by using generative language. But then we also have the idea of the rhythm of creativity. Breathe it all in, get wide as you can, apply the 5 ground rules to really stretch your thinking, and then breathe out. Focus it back down to what it is that you're trying to achieve, to get down to the nexus of that thing that you're really trying to find, that solution, that idea, that breakthrough, that aha moment, right? So when we repeat this diverge, converge, we need to now know, well, repeat it for what, right? So we talked about this whole process being brainstorming, and often individuals want to jump onto the brainstorm and start solving the problem straight away. But you've probably heard the quote when Einstein said, if he had 1 hour or 1 minute to solve a problem, he'd use 50 seconds or 50 minutes of the hour to define the problem first. To define the problem first. So before you jump onto, we're trying to solve this thing for, the future of Africala's strategy, as an example, do you know what you're really trying to solve? Can you spend time really defining your goal, wish, or challenge before you even get to the problem statement? So in the Osborne-Parnes model, we start with the goal, wish, or challenge before we start with the problem. What is it you really want to design? What is it that you really are inspired to want to bring into the world? And we use something called lead statements. A lead statement is half a sentence. It's a question starter. So we start with the goal, wish, or challenge with the statement, wouldn't it be great if ... So next time you're working in a brainstorm, ask your colleagues, wouldn't it be great if what? And then you start by diverging as many wouldn't it be great if statements as you can in the given time you have. Maybe it's 10 minutes of wouldn't it be great if, wouldn't it be great if, wouldn't it be great if, and you're all writing them down on post-its. Wouldn't it be great if, because remember, we're divergent, so we write them all down. Wouldn't it be great if, and then you fill a whole wall with wouldn't it be great if statements. That's your divergence. Then you converge, and you start to bring the cluster. So on this beautiful wall you've got in the studio here, what if this blue panel here is futuristic ideas that all get clustered together? What if the green panel over there are environmental ideas? What if the red panel here is all about people, right? We want to bring the people, the human capital ideas over here. Maybe the silver one over here is technology-based ideas. And you cluster the ideas. That's one part of converging. But then the next part is to pull the best one out of each one of those clusters. So you zoom into the cluster, then you zoom into the idea inside the cluster. Double zoom.
Wow.
And that means double convergence, closer and closer and finer to what it is that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Now you've got a few ideas, maybe 1, 2, or 3 from the 100 wouldn't it be great if statements. And if you're working in a team, that's when you lock those, build and combine, refine, get deliberate, bring it back to what it is that you really, really want to solve as a community. And that's when you start with the end of phase 1. So we've only taken one step, and of course I could spend an hour taking you through the full process, but let me zoom out and not go too deep and just say that's step 1. If you get with the wouldn't it be great if statements, then you need to move from diverge to converge to 1. So maybe you can give me an example for African colors. Give me 5 ideas that are wouldn't it be great ifs for your role in the future of African colors. Can you give me
something that will
just anything for you in the next 6 months? Wouldn't it be great if what? Wouldn't it be great if what for you and your role in African Colours? Give me 5 ideas off the top of your head. And you must use the lead statement. Wouldn't it be great if, and then just finish it.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it won't be great if we don't collaborate with the creatives.
But you said don't. What I'm asking for is a generative statement. So you say, wouldn't it be great if I could collaborate with creators all around the world, as an example.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be great if every collaboration became a podcast? Wouldn't it be great if we could podcast with people 24/7, 365? You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
I'm just looking. So give me 2 more now.
It won't be great if we don't collaborate with others and help them to develop.
That we do collaborate and we do develop, yeah? And one more?
It won't be great if, as African Colours, don't show off to the world what the Rwandans and the Africans are thinking about.
So wouldn't it be great if African Colours could show to other Africans what creativity means on the continent? So now I've built and combined on your idea. Again, another one. So we've got a whole bunch of ideas. Now choose one and converge to one statement for African Colours' future. You must choose one now.
Okay. I will choose the last one I said. It won't be great if, as African Colours, we won't collaborate and ensure the world what the African African content has.
Beautiful. So now we've finished stage 1 with the wouldn't it be great if statement. Now we must go to stage 2, which is fact finding. So then with fact finding, what do? No. We start up here again.
We're still there.
We diverge. Okay. Yeah, we've done it once. We came and converged. Now we go back. This is why we call it the rhythm of creativity. Yeah, or the rhythm of creativity. So then we diverge in phase 2, and we go, okay, what are all the facts? And one simple tool, and there are many tools you can Google, is using the 5 W's and the 1 H. Where, when, who, why, and how, and what. So if we were to say, wouldn't it be great if African Colours can showcase creativity on the continent of Africa from Rwanda? That's your first wish statement. Then we're in the facts line. So then you must give me 5, what do you mean? 5, who do you mean on the continent? 5, when do you mean?
And the how.
And the how and the where and the
why.
So you come up with all of this data points around the facts of who do you mean, what do you mean, how do you mean, where do you mean, why do you mean, all of that. And you write all of those ideas down in a very extensive process of getting all of your data. Because it's one thing to say African Colours in the African continent, but we can be much more specific than that. And I would encourage you, with the connection that you've got with AfriLabs, to be saying, wait there's 430 hubs in 53 African countries that you've got access to through AfriLabs. Imagine now if your showcasing of African creativity could be linked to all of those 420 hubs, giving you African countrywide contextual creativity. Imagine that.
That would be very, very massive.
That's 10 years of work for you, my friend.
Yeah, even more than 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then we've got all of the facts, the who, the how, the what. Then we have to converge from all of that. Maybe you choose the most important who, the most important what, the most important when, the most important why, the most important where, and the most important how. 5 W's, 1 H. That's 6 data points from your diverged list. You bring those 6 data points and you put them back into the original goal, wish, or challenge. Wouldn't it be great if African Colours can showcase creativity on the African continent from Rwanda and all 53 African countries? And now you've got a clearer statement. That's stage 2. Then we go to stage 3. That's where we refine the problem statement. And we change it from wouldn't it be great if to how might we? Because when we look into how might we as a process, that question itself is not a can we or can't we. It's a generative statement that says, well, how might we? And then we start the process again. What do? Diverge again, and we diverge to that question. How might we, African colors, showcase African creativity in 53 African countries, over 430 hubs in the next 10 years, online and real time, showcased on our podcast? Do you see that I threw lots more data inside there?
Yeah.
I was talking about the where, the when, the who, the how. I put a few in there just as an example. Now we've got a really clear problem statement. Do you see the idea?
Yeah, I see that.
And then from that diverge, what do we do next? We converge again, and we polish that statement. And then we go to stage 4, which is then where we start to look for the solutions. Only on stage 4 we're coming up with ideation, the ideas.
Yeah.
That's when only on stage 4 do you start coming with your ideas. Remember Einstein said he would spend 90% of the time defining the problem. If you had that really clear problem, how do you think this is impacting the creative process of thinking more innovatively? A lot. It's like you're going slow to go fast. You're going deeper to find the diamonds. You're working under pressure with time. When you're working with a process like this with people, you can say you have 10 minutes for stage 1, 15 minutes for stage 2. Come on, guys. Come on, ladies. Let's get this thing going. So bringing that kind of energy to making people come up. Don't get stuck. Just keep flowing. More. That is how we're going to enrich the creative process. And then from there, the ideation stage 4, again, more divergence, more convergence. Then we go to stage 5, which is about looking at strengthening the solution. So you might now have an idea, but now we're going to strengthen it again with more divergence, more convergence. And there's fantastic tools like Scamper, Google Scamper. You'll see an incredible tool that's been used for years around the world, where we look at substitute, combine, adapt, merge, something. Anyway, I forget all of them. You must look them up. Beautiful frames, or shall we call them lenses, to come back to your solution and test them and rethink them from different angles. I love the quote that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So how are you changing the way you look at your solution and strengthening it? And then finally, you come to the final stage, which is about your action plan. What do we do at the beginning of the action plan?
No, same.
Which is to diverge again.
Yeah.
I need you to get this language in your mouth, my friend. To diverge, right? Every step of the way, we're coming up with divergent thinking again on our action plan. Then we converge on our action plan. We get really clear with the steps that we're going to take to move these ideas forward. So that is a quick snapshot to the creative problem solving process, which for me has been instrumental to my work as a consultant, and I love to share it with people because I think it's powerful.
Yeah, that's nice. So the last but not least, so how will you push someone who's in a creative industry to go through that stage? How would you push that person?
So, well, it's I wouldn't push, I would pull.
Okay, how would you pull?
Yes, it's all about the language, because push feels like there's going to be resistance.
Yeah.
So I don't want to meet resistance. I work as a consultant with all corporates and types of businesses around the world as clients,
Yeah.
And if you hit a brick wall, there's no point trying. It's don't start by finding resistance. Start by finding flow. So the different programs that we run with our company is very much about finding inspiration, which is about pulling people forward towards that which they want. So that's the short answer, is to work with what inspires people. And we run different training programs that enable people to adopt these skills. Maybe you're a consultant, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a trainer, maybe you're a facilitator, maybe you're somebody that's the leader of a small, medium, or large organization that wants to figure out, how do we adopt more creativity in our organization? Remember, the World Economic Forum said that the most critical skills for leadership in the next 10 years, 5 of the 10 of those critical skills are all under creativity, problem solving, adaptability, flexibility, critical thinking. So this toolkit that I'm sharing is globally sought after in businesses today. And if you're interested in learning more about how we might be able to upskill you, then I would want you to come and learn more about the work. We have something called the Actitud Creativa, Spanish for creative attitude. And that's a company that I'm now working with based in Spain with my partner. His name is Juan Prego. And together with Juan, in the business of Actitud Creativa, we have something called the Creativity Certification Program. And on the Creativity Certification Program, we run trainings and programs, both online and physical, that upskill trainers and facilitators to adopt these skills. And they include programs in advanced creative problem solving, which is another edition of what I've shared with you today, taking the creative problem solving process, bringing in neuroscience to understand how does the brain work. We also have programs in design thinking with something called the Lombard method. We also have training courses in creative facilitation with my other company, Red Zebra, which I started nearly 30 years ago using music as an engagement tool. We've learned the art of facilitation over many years. We've worked in over 100 countries with all types of organizations, from youth development all the way through to high-level strategy work with global organizations and CEOs and C-suite teams. So how do you really create those spaces? And then more so and most excitingly, the latest process that we're running is something called the Pro Play method. And the Pro Play method reminds us that play is the original way to learn. And we have an exciting collaboration with a global toy company, Playmobil, who recently brought out a facilitator kit called Playmobil Pro. And in 2019, my partner Juan Prego found out about this, and he approached the toy company and said, I love Playmobil, these toys, the figures, the characters. How do I get trained in this method? And they said, well, we're a toy company, we don't do training. And he said, well, we're a training company. Let us show you how. So fast track 2 years later, we are now globally approved by Playmobil to be the training company that helps capacitate and maximize the potential in their globally sold facilitator kit, which looks at play from a professional perspective. And to date, we've trained over 150 different consultants around the world, and we're looking for regional partners across Africa, specifically for me because I'm based in South Africa, and I play a role in the company as the international director. So we are training people in 3 levels of professional play as a mode, as a method that enables people to tap into other forms of creative thinking that will help you and your clients step ahead. So maybe I can just tell people to look that up. You can go to the proplaymethod.com. You can also find me, Mark Tabron, that's Tabbron, and I am Mark with a K, on LinkedIn. And if people are interested, maybe at the end of your podcast, I can put these details up so people can follow us. And we run training programs. In fact, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be back in Germany. At Playmobil, they have a giant fun park, and we're hosting the first annual gathering of Playoneers.
Congratulations.
Which are bringing different people we've trained over the last couple of years to have a meeting, a gathering to share best practice in how we take the amazing method, the Pro Play method that my partner Juan designed 2 years ago, and use this in all different sectors, whether it be in training, entrepreneurship, ideal for innovation hubs, whether it be in strategic development, therapeutic work, counseling work. This method enables us to create safe places for the imagination to flow.
Well, thank you so much. This was very helpful, and I hope our followers are going to learn a lot of things from your steps, and then I hope they're going to apply them.
I hope so too. Stay in touch. I think the creativity is a growing family, and anybody out there that wants to learn more, please do reach out and connect with me. It's been a great joy to come back to African Colors today, and I really wish Raul and yourself and the whole team all the best with your work, because I know that at the end of the day, creativity is also about community. And that's what I see that you're doing. So I'm feeling very happy to have been hosted by you today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is African Colors in a creative process. So remember to follow all our social medias. And don't forget that we are always here on Monday, every morning, 9 a.m. Ciao. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you, beautiful people, for being with us today. We hope you learned one or two things with our amazing guest. See you next Monday, same time, same place. And don't forget to follow us on all our social medias. We are African Colors, and have a beautiful Monday. Create, build, and connect. See you.